Have you ever watched a show that just continuously gets better? Because if you haven't, I may have the show for you. I've been watching Demon Slayer since season 1 first came out, and I've been debating to make a video like this for a very long time, but the second season wrapped itself up, and that finally served as the spark for me to make this video, to persuade you all on why you should watch Demon Slayer. So first of all, let's talk about the most popular aspect of this show, or better yet, the most well known. Let's begin the video by talking about the animation. The animation for this show is nothing to be laughed at. It is superb. There are very few shows that can even keep up with this level of quality. I remember seeing edits of these just beautiful scenes, and I needed to know where they came from. And this talk over the animation created buzz, and that eventually found me and pushed me to watch this show. For those of you that say animation isn't everything, sure, it's not, but it sure as hell helps. People looked at this and said, I need to show other people, and they did, and they watched this show and they were moved by the visuals. That's how the word about this show spread, and I'm positive you'll be wowed by these visuals too. But you know, visuals aren't everything and should mostly be used to uplift the rest of the show. So what better to uplift than the fights? Gosh man, the fights are so good. In some shows the fights are really long, and in others they are super short and quick to the point, but here, well, it's a mix of both. Some fights are really led up to and sort of have this emotional build-up, while others are just this flurry of attacks in this vibrant and colorful art style. But no matter what, they're just so good, man. They look super fluid, they get you super hype. I mean, like, just recently there was a fight during season 2 that had me tearing up. I'm not kidding, and I wasn't crying because I was emotional, but it was simply so good. That probably sounds crazy. I don't even know how it happened, but man, the fights in this show, they never fail to get you excited, and the visuals they use during them are superb. Now this all stems from the power system. So in Demon Slayer there are these things called breathing techniques, and each technique is sort of modeled off of this thing? I can't say element because they aren't strictly elements, but it ranges from your standard fire and water sword styles to things way more interesting and unique like insect breathing or sound breathing. It's all just really cool, and each of these elements or just styles in general are shown in such a unique and artistic way. Like, tell me this doesn't look cool. And canonically, the swords don't actually produce water and all that, and it's apparently just a visual thing, but don't listen to that, it's real to me. And these techniques are all derived from your swordsmanship, which gains its power through your breathing. Breathing is like a really big thing in this show. It can go from powering you up and strengthening your sword styles all the way to healing you and keeping you fighting way past when you should. And that kind of leads me to my first real issue with this show. Now, it's not a big one, and this is a shonen, so it is to be expected, but there is a lot of plot armor in this show. Now, I don't know about you, but some of the things that happen simply don't make sense. Like, Inosuke shouldn't be able to get away with half of the things he does, and I love that Tanjiro is really pushing himself, and it's hype, but dang man, sometimes I feel like he's pushing it just a little too far, but that isn't really that big of an issue, and a lot of the time it's actually a relief. But I was also thinking about how he didn't die. I don't know, but to make the fights even better, beyond all the hype moments and great animation, it humanizes the villains. Some of the best fights belong to shows that humanize their villains. It's one thing to root against an enemy, but it gets significantly harder when you understand why they are the way they are. And this leads to a lot of emotional moments, but none of these would be possible without our main character, Tanjiro. The characters in this show are really good. To begin with, I think Tanjiro is a really great main character. To a lot of people, he may seem like your typical shonen protagonist, the whole work hard, push your limits, goody two-shoes. However, there's nothing wrong with this trope. I like seeing people work hard for their goals. I like seeing people pushing their limits and putting everything on the line. I like seeing characters fight for their morals and what's right for them. Hell, he's a good character. A trope isn't always used in a negative fashion. You can use them because the truth is, they work. And Tanjiro has his own little spin as well. In a world that is plagued by ruthless demons, willing to do whatever they need to fill their desires, Tanjiro feels pity for them. That's really powerful. To have pity for characters that deserve none, well, that just shows his character. And I feel like a lot of people originally saw this and dismissed it as corny, but as the seasons have gone on and people have seen just how far Tanjiro will go for his goals, well, people can't help but respect it. And that's all on top of his main goal of protecting his sister and turning her back to normal. Okay, before I go any further, I feel like I need to give a little synopsis of the story with obviously, no spoilers, so you can really understand if this show is for you, which it is, but anyway. But the show follows Tanjiro as he trains to become a powerful demon slayer, so ultimately he can work to get a cure for his sister, who has been turned into a demon. Now obviously, demons aren't the greatest, and they kind of have, they kind of do demon stuff. So you get to see this really cool adventure side of fighting and slaying these demons, and in the same breath you get to see the story of a boy who is trying to save his sister and hold sympathy for those he must slay. I mean, after all, his sister has become one. Now I won't tell you much else because, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but also this show may have one of the best first episodes out of any show. It's definitely up there. If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself. But along this journey we meet countless characters and a lot of them are super interesting. You obviously have the main three, which consist of the core group, but you also have the ones in power, which are the Hashira, that the main characters are mentored by and strive to be. You have the upper and lower moons, which are powerful enemies that you slowly learn more about in the show, and then you just have your everyday sort of characters, the ones that flow with the story. And in every aspect of the show, I feel like the characters are really good. They are fleshed out when they need to be, they have cool and unique personalities and traits, and a lot of the time you really end up liking them. So the characters are a really strong aspect of the story. Time to talk about the music. Music, yeah, didn't have a transition planned here, but the music is great. If I said the animation elevates scenes, then so does music. And there were countless times where the music just made a fight scene that much better. Have you seen that scene from Ratatouille where he eats those foods and the colors all kind of do that thing? Yeah, that's what it feels like when the music kicks in. It's great. Also, the intros for this show are really, really good. They do not miss. Each one is a banger. Overall, this show just keeps getting better. And while the story is simple and it falls into many typical shonen tropes, it does what it does really well. Like, really well. Everyone I've gotten to pick up this show has loved it. It's constantly been surrounded by hype, and for good reason. No matter how long I stay away from the show, every time I come back, it always moves itself back up into one of my favorites. And it's one of those shows that has a great world, and I can really see it going far. So if you haven't already, go and watch this show and learn for yourself what all the hype is about.